But you don't just work in the medical technology space. You work with a number of verticals. And I'm wondering if you talk a little bit about some of the other, do you work in technology? Where else do you work?
Right. So I'll give you another example of MindPrint from a startup. They were dealing with a very interesting phenomenon, as everybody knows. If you're on your smartphone and you're trying to type a text or WhatsApp, and fingers are a little bit too big for those little buttons, you get all kinds of funny messages coming out, and sometimes it's very amusing to read what you meant to say. So they came up with this idea. You know what? Let's break up the whole alphabet into shapes. We'll look at the shape of a letter, whether it stands on two legs or one leg or it's rounded, and they ended up with only 3 or 4 buttons, and that's great, right? And the funny thing is they used graduate students to test it out, and these guys, and I watched it many times because I was consulting for them. In 15, 20 minutes, they were typing on these 3 buttons, and they said, great. And we put out this news, and right away we got calls from the biggest telecoms in America. Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint. And guess what? There was a MindPrint issue there. In other words, it's very nice that we used graduate students, but they said, you know what? Our customers are high school dropouts also. We can't have any frustration about people. So they were worried about the learning curve. That was their big thing. I'm worried about the learning curve. So we had a big trade show coming up in Florida, and so what I did was, okay, I need to address this learning curve. I went a week early. I founded elementary school. We donated iPads to them. I took these 5th graders, and granted, this is Florida. These kids, English wasn't even their native language. They were Hispanic. In any case, I trained these kids over the course of that week, and we had a very big trade show booth. And what we did was no executive from the telco was allowed to talk to anybody but the 5th grader. The 5th graders taught them this system. And the learning curve went away, and the tech blogs went crazy because we addressed it, we validated it. That's what a MindPrint is. It doesn't just have to be an ad.
I love that example. That's incredible. That's a good press release. That's very newsworthy. I hope you got some media attention from that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got a lot from the tech blogs. They were really, they were just so startled to see 5th graders. They didn't even know how they let them in. And we said, no. That was the whole point, right?
So fresh, so creative.